Rania, I'm sure you've heard No Other Land won Best Documentary at the Academy Awards last night. Do you view this as a sea change about Palestine or the Middle East, or do you think it's just a one-off?
Um, I mean, I guess we have to look at it like in a longer context. I think people will look back at this years from now and see it as part of a series of that sea change you just mentioned. I mean, I know the last time there was the Oscars, there was that movie Zone of Interest, I think. Was it the Oscars
Right.
that had
Yep.
won? And I know the director wasn't Israeli, but he was Jewish and he like got up and made a speech and specifically made a parallel to Gaza, which was really, cool and brave of him to do. And he got totally dunked on by Hollywood afterwards. So I think that this is part of that ongoing sea change, I guess. I know some people were frustrated because you had a Palestinian man and then the Israeli, I don't know if it was one of the producers or they directed it together. You can correct me on that, but I know the Israeli guy had made some comments that were good, but also irritated some people because he compared Palestinian suffering to Israeli suffering, talked about October 7th being this big crime. And it's just like, come on, dude. But it's still
Yeah.
important that ethnic cleansing got mentioned. But I also think it speaks to the fact that, had the Palestinian filmmaker who it was his story been alone in that and spoken that way on his own, I'm not sure if people would have received it the same way. And it just speaks to the fact that a lot of white liberals still need uh, an Israeli to like humanize Palestinians for them to some degree. I hope that changes at some point. That said, I think it's important ethnic cleansing was mentioned. And I think in the broader scheme of things, I think more things like this will continue to happen because people are just so disgusted by what Israel does to Palestinians quite openly. Actually, I think what we're going to see happen, I mean, I can't predict the future, but based on this trajectory, I mean, the Israelis basically just are going to leave Gaza in this, the status quo is going to become like what it is right now, where people just live in rubble. They're not going to be able to be rebuilt. They're going to die off, like people in Gaza are going to continue to die from like preventable diseases. Israel's going to occasionally bomb them. That's probably not going to be as vicious as what we witnessed over the past 15 months. But they're just like they've been doing throughout the ceasefire, they're going to do drone strikes here and there. They're going to shoot at people in the areas they're still stationed. And they're not going to allow them to rebuild their homes. And so I think you're going to see a Gaza siege that's like on steroids of what we witnessed over like 15 years, where it's the siege on Gaza, but way worse. And also people having no shelter and just having to like live in rubble. And it's horrifying because the world is going to allow that to happen for a bit longer.